We're celebrating sunflowers and the release of Hot Off the Press's new collection, and Teresa has done a marvelous job. So please, come play with us. Now on the product page you can see every single sheet, so I'm just going to show you the collection. So as always, begin with the 12 by 12 papers. These are not papers, these are cardstock. There are 12 sheets of double-sided, and there are also 36 cutouts, and there's a coordinating cardstock. There are 12 sheets also of this, double-sided. You can see the colors there. We also have the 31 die cuts with 2 sheets. They coordinate perfectly, and the 6 by 6. Now there's 24 sheets with 72 cutouts and chipboard. Just beautiful. 8 pieces here. Wait till you see what's been done. And we have more. We have sunflowers cutting die, and they are gorgeous. Wait till you see what you can do with that. And then also, I don't know if you noticed on the papers, maybe not on the first one, but there's some chicken wire, and so we have a cutting die to support that too. All of this. So let's get started. One thing I want to start with is to share with you the scrapbook page, and that's just always something we do. And also on the packages, there's always ideas. On the 12 by 12, you're going to see the scrapbook page. Very easy to do with some double matting and the cutout, adding some flowers and some ribbon, and you are done. Now let's get into Teresa's work, and here's the first. We'll get in closer so you can see, and this is really a very fun card. And let me just show you as I open it. It's kind of wobbly on the front, but it's wobbly because this is a vertical easel card. Look at that. How neat is that? I love how the sunflower just pops up. Oh, so neat. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, Teresa's got us covered. Let me show you. So you're going to start with a cardstock, and she used the brown out of the sunflower solid cardstock. So it is 11 inches by 6. And then starting from the left, you're going to do some scoring. And I will share with you that Teresa recommends using something like this. Is the hunky-dory adorable scoreboard, say all of that. And so you just place your piece in here and have the side with the inches, and then you can do your scoring. It's just very easy. You even have the bone folder at the top, so that's a nice idea. And so back to the instructions, starting from the left, at 1/2 inch, do a score. At 2 inches, 3.5, 5, and 5.5. Okay, so that's going to get all of that going. Now, you're going to want to fold this in half in the center line, so just like that. And then you're going to want to put some tape on here. Now, Teresa recommends the 2-sided tape. You could use the extra sticky tape. We carry both of them. This is a tearable tape, meaning not T-E-R-R-I-B-L-E, but T-E-A-R-I-B-A-B-L-E. You can tear it with your fingers. And so she's put it there, so then you just lift that liner off and place it like so, and then you kind of have a spine, and that works really nicely. Okay, then these are going to be folded in folds like this, mountain folds, because I'm on the other side. And then this is going to be folded the opposite way, because this is going to get tucking in. Okay, so you can see that. How clever is that? Okay, let's go back here. And as I said, she made the card itself out of the brown cardstock, so that works nicely. And then she added on the front of the card, she used the wood, kind of a wood looking paper that I'm struggling to find here. There we go. Here we go. It's this sheet. Isn't that pretty? So not only is it wood, you've got that wonderful swirling on top. I just love it. And this has been cut into sections to go onto those 3 panels that are on the front. That just works really, really nicely. Now, and we're going to do that, set that aside, and then we're going to come back into our die cut, our cutting die. And as you can see, in fact, if we can get in just a little bit closer, Steve, I want you to really be able to see the embossing that's been done on the petals. So they are deeply embossed. Yes, perfect. Okay, you can see that. Isn't that just great? It just gives such depth to it, and Deanna just does a wonderful job with the cutting dies. So the other thing that's going on is that she has the centerpieces. Now she's got several of them here, and that's just going to give you different ideas that you can do with this. So what Teresa has done is she has simply die cut it out of the brown, and then she took her bone folder, or you could use anything that has kind of a dull point, and she pressed into it to make some, just some marks that it would look a little more like the seeds in a sunflower. And by the way, she has done a couple of layers. Actually, there's 3 layers there, and that just worked really nicely. You might see some shading on those. They were all cut out of the same yellow from the collection of cardstock. And she did do some inking. Let me show you. She used the rustic brown. This is from Crafter's Companion, and she did use an ink dauber to just go along the edges. Obviously this is before it's attached to your card, so just going like that, and that just gives some depth to it, as well as raising this one up on foam tapes and offsetting them. So it's just a really full, very pretty flower. Now, the stems come from the cutting die that is the stems and leaves. And that is, let's see, I'll have to pull that out a little bit later. I don't know what happened to my organization, but it didn't quite do the trick this morning. There's also bees. There are 2 bees in here. And what has been done is to die cut the body, so you can see the body there, out of the yellow, and then die cut the top piece out of black, and then you get that 2 level of your bee. And as I said, the stems and leaves are out of the stems and leaves cutting die that has somehow disappeared on my table, but it will come back. Now, this is one of the die cuts, but look at the edges. Isn't that pretty? And that is something new for us. And this is the Fancy Border Dazzles, but in primary colors. And so there's blue, red, all sorts of colors. And isn't that just striking on each of the 2 panels? I just love what Teresa has done. Oh, by the way, on the stems and leaves, on that cutting die, there is a curved stem and a straight stem. Obviously, she used the curve. And then the leaves were also inked on the edges with pine tree. And that just, again, gives a little bit of depth. Now, let's go on to the inside, and you can see. Now, this area, Teresa has used this part of this sheet, okay? And she just used it right there, you can see, and just cut a piece. And then you brighten my day, that is out of the cutouts. This is also a cutout that she's matted. And then more of the little bees. Kind of a reverse on this. We've got the brown on the bottom and the yellow on top. That's interesting. So you've got a couple of different ways you can do it. But the real treat, as I said, is the surprise that this does when it's standing up. And yes, it will stand up. So really fun. I've never seen that before. Thank you, Teresa. Always can count on you to do something unique and something we haven't seen before. Okay, let's get on to our next card. And here we go. Now this time she's bringing in some of the chipboard. Now I showed you the package, and that's what it looks like again. And so we'll just kind of talk about that, and then we'll get into the card. This is actually called a Dutch door card. Now that's kind of fun. Let me show you what happens. We're going to open it this way, and then the Dutch doors open that way. It's not a term I hear very often, but I think it's really fun with this card. Okay, now I started with the chipboard, so I'll go back to that for just a moment. And what Teresa has used on them is a couple of things. She has used the tri-blend markers. We're great fans of these because you get 3 colors, 3 shades in one particular pen, and that's just really, really nice. Someone recently asked were they refillable, and they're not, because quite honestly it's a better buy to rebuy the pen than it would be to pay $5 each for 3 refills, but they're not refillable. So just want to clarify that. Okay, we're going to go into this, and I just want to share with you what Teresa has done. So she has taken the words, and you can see right there, she's used 2 colors. This is the gold yellow and the burnt orange. So let me just pull that burnt orange and gold yellow. And you can kind of see, again, you get the 3 shades. You can see them there. So I'm going to go with the lightest for the hello. And you can overlap these. If you do them while they're in the backing, it's just a little bit easier with these finely laser cut pieces. Okay, so there, and then to go into the burnt orange, so probably, let's see, let's get a mid-tone of the yellow. And you can see and blend that, and then we'll get it into the orange. There we go. And into the orange, I'll go with a mid-tone. I can always go lighter, I can always go darker. And you can see how they blend, which is always nice. And you can go back and blend them more if you like. For our purposes, I'm just going to leave it a little striated that way. And as she says that, and then she goes back to blend. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of that. Now then you just pop it out and you can glue it right on. The thing that Teresa also did, and I think you can see the shine. Okay, Crafter's Companion has come out with another pen. This is a sparkle pen. Now, we are the only ones who are selling them individually, and we just think that that's really nice. This is going to add a sparkle to your pens, especially if I can open it. And you just rub it over the top and you're going to get a shine. Very easy to place, and you can really control where it goes. Okay, the wreath was done with the brown, or with that, yes, with the brown. There is a gold brown. And then these were done as I did this Hello Sunshine. And then there's a separate one that she did that she put on top. So you've got some dimension going on. Okay, now let's get back to the construction. We'll back up just a tad so that you can see this. Okay, so to create our card base, we're going to start with a piece of cardstock. In this case, it's white, and it's going to be 10 1/4 inches by 4 1/4. Then you're going to score it. It's not in half, but it's at 4 1/4. Then you can see how it's going to leave room for those Dutch doors right there. Now, speaking of the Dutch doors, you're going to need to cut 2 of these. They are 2 3/4 by 2 inches. You need to cut 2 of them. Score at the 1/2 inch. Then on the back of that, Teresa has placed the extra sticky tape. That's with the orange liner. And then this is going to be attached on the back. You want to make sure that it is equal to the bottom of the card on both sides. So it's just going to go like that. And they meet in the center. They don't overlap. That's just what is needed for it. Okay, so you've got that. That's our base. And Teresa has covered the top part of her card with the top part of this paper. You can see you've got kind of that flourish over there with the wood grain. So that's done a nice job. So that covers the top flap. This piece is out, and this is where our chicken wire starts coming in, is a piece right out of here. And she's placed it right there. So that's going to do a nice job. And that is matted on a a white cardstock to match the card. So that creates this piece, and you can see that she added the chipboard and then some gold border dazzles, just right here, here, and right there. Now, for the inside, well, let's first go to our Dutch doors. Remember this piece that we used on the front? Well, Teresa very cleverly used the bottom part, the narrow part, for each of her doors. Works really well. And she added more of the dazzles right there. And then on the inside, going back to that same piece of paper, she has used an area right here to go on the inside of her card. More dazzles, more of the chipboard colored the exact same way we talked about, and then also one of the cutouts, and she matted it. So really, again, a second very clever card. Well, you know, that's what we expect. Okay, let's get into her third card. She has 5 for us this week, so that's really nice. And isn't this a beauty? Wow. Okay, so much is going on. This is our regular 5 by 6.5 inch card. It too is using our cutting die, and she's done some different things with it. To begin with, well, let me go to the card, okay? I get so excited. I want to start with the focal, but let's go to our card. Now, our card has some new things on it, and this is one. This is our metallic gold cardstock. It's 8.5 by 11. There are 3 sheets per pack, and the retail price is really, really great. So that's nice to have. Being cardstock, it's going to have more body, and that works really nicely. Okay, so we're going to go back here. We've got this piece of the sunflower paper. Let me show you what it looks like. This is the sheet. It's got lots of beautiful things going on. And this is the area that Teresa used to cut for the front of her card. She matted it on the gold, and you can see that gold is the accent all through this card. Just lovely. Okay, so that's the base. Then she has taken the chicken wire cutting die. Now there's 2 pieces here. There's the chicken wire, and then there's a frame should you want to use that. In this case, Teresa just used the chicken wire itself. It's a generous size, 4.5 by 5.25, so it's going to fit anywhere. And of course, you can trim it to fit as you like. And what she's done is she has die cut that out of the same gold cardstock. And to attach it, you might think, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? Well, to the rescue is our friend Sticky Specs. And I know that you know about Sticky Specs, but let me just show you. Okay, Sticky Specs is the dream answer to attach anything intricate or anything at all. So what you'll do, and there are 4 sheets in the package, and bear with me, I know you've heard this before, but just in case you're new, you want to pull back the liner, place your die cut right side up, and then put the liner back and press, because it will attach some of those hundreds of thousands of sticky dots onto it. Pull this back, lift your cutting die off, and position it onto your project. By the way, you can reuse these again and again and again, because you never pull up every single one of them, and that's really nice. Okay, now let's get into what the woman has done with this sunflower. So as I said, we were using the same cutting die, and this time she has die cut layers out of both the dark yellow and the orange that come in the solid cardstock. And isn't that pretty? Now she did use the Versamark on the edges of them, and then she did the gold embossing powder. And so you can see on the edges of them, just really pretty. And she used, by the way, I'm sure you noticed, but on the cutting die, there's a large flower and there's a small one. So the largest is 3 3/4, the smallest is 3. And so she's done that. Now, the other thing that she's done is in the center here. And as I said, Deanna has several sizes so that you can do a couple of different things with these. But number one, what Teresa has done. So she has used the Versamark again onto that center one. And then she used 2 embossing powders. I think it's just brilliant. So she used the gold that she used on the edge of the flowers and on the edge of the leaves, but she also used the Iron Age. And this is going to give a very weathered look to it. So she used both. So she put the Versamark, did 1 embossing powder, did the heat gun, then did the Versamark again and used the other embossing powder. And as you can see, it just gives a very rustic, well, I guess Iron Age is a good name for the embossing powder. It just works really, really well. And again, this is using the dies that I can't find. Oh, great, there we are. I've uncovered them from my pile. Here we go. This is the bigger leaves and ferns. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, forget it. It is the leaves, stems and leaves, okay? Again, she did these with the gold and then curved them a bit with a bone folder. These petals, you can kind of pinch them to give a little bit more dimension. Yes, just like that. Super easy. Just kind of pinch them a bit and it's gonna let them raise up. So very pretty. This piece is one of the cutouts from the book and of the pad, yes. And then on the inside, she used that same paper that she used on the front. Here's a strip of the gold, another flower, and this is one of the die cuts. And it comes on this sheet. You can see enjoy every moment. Really stunning. I do want to share one other thing that Deanna talked about when she designed the cutting die, and this is an example of it. So you can take those circles and take a pokey tool and turn the cardstock over and just poke into it. And you can get, again, a very look like the seeds are there. So isn't that nice? This is on the back of the package, just showing you how you can do that. The other thing you can do is maybe poke the outside and have a smooth center. Again, that's why you've got 4 of them, and that can create even more depth. So lots of ideas. Okay, let's get back, and we have this card. Now, the chicken wire can also be a see-through, and I thought that was so clever of Teresa to do. Of course she is. Now, to do this, you have to do it in a couple of layers. Now, she did use the 12 by 12 cardstock, and this is our standard card. It's 5 by 6.5. So that's what she's used. Notice she allowed the card to be a mat behind her papers. This is the paper that she used on the front. Isn't that just, I just love the sunflowers. They're so happy, and that's really nice. Okay, so she cut that paper to the size that's in the gallery, and she just tacked it down. So just dab a little bit of glue. Don't really secure it because we're gonna do a couple of things, okay? First of all, with that paper, that cardstock in place, we're going to take the square and scallop cutting dies and take this one, the straight one, and place it right here and run this through your die cutting machine. Now, this is 6.5 inches, and if you have the standard die, what you'll want to do is place the die there to cut through, and then wrap this around your the platform, so it will just make that easier. Okay, so you've cut your square out, then you're going to remove the paper and you're going to place this one. So that is out of the yellow cardstock. Here we go. And just with our chicken wire. So then you'll place the chicken wire down, then glue the paper on top, and that secures it in place. Then you can go back into the cardstock, take the red piece, and die cut the coordinating scallop. That's why we did these together. So you've got to straighten the scallop. You can do a decorative edge just like Teresa did here. So that red can go on top. Now this piece has been out of the cutouts that are in the book, or in the pad. I tend to think of it as a book, don't I? And matting it on red to match this, and then also wrapping that with a red ribbon from the Red Ribbon collection. It just works really well. Now, that little tag, how cute is that? That is from the die cuts also. It's this little piece. And what Teresa used is something else that's kind of new for us. This is the tiny words and phrases, which we've had, but now they are in primary colors. So red is in there. And don't those just do such a beautiful pop of color on that card with the cardstock, the Dazzles, the ribbon, and the red that's in the patterned cardstock. Just really, really nice. On the inside, you get that peekaboo. But then we also have this area, and this is on the back side of this one. So I think Teresa just does a great job of maximizing every inch of the cardstock. So you can see she's cut it here, matted it on the brown from the cardstock, and then the thanks a bunch is out of the cutouts. Here we go, right there. And we try to make the cutouts very simple to cut out so you can see what that's done. You're the best, well, that's one of the die cuts. And trust me, it's there, okay? And more of the tiny words and phrases, a little heart right there. And you've got a very unique card. Okay, I've got one more. And let me show you. This is a very fun card. Now, this is using something that we did a while ago, but I wanted to bring it back because it was so perfect to use with the Sunflower collection. And this is our Sunflower Dazzles. How neat is that? This was also designed by Deanna Pinnell, and so that's fun. Here it is with the backing removed. You don't want to do that because you want to be able to use this backing. You can cut it in strips and use it, but that just gives you another look at it. So what Teresa has done, again, very cleverly, let me show you how this opens. So here's the card, and here's how it opens. And again, this card is going to stand up. How neat is that? And just a fun, bright hello to one of your favorite people. So what Teresa has done is she's given us 2 downloads. So you're going to want to be sure to see that. Those, as you might remember, are in the gallery down below. There's a list of supplies. At the bottom of the supplies, you'll see download, and there are 2 of them. One is for what I'm going to show you. That's going to make the card. The other one is for the papers. So just to make it easy, as Teresa does for us all the time. So let me show you when you get that download and you run it through your printer, and then you make a copy out of cardstock. This is out of white, and you can see on it that it's going to be a straight cutting line and then a broken score line. So score, score, and score. Now what you end up doing is see little, let's see, this is upside down, valley and empty. That's a valley fold, that's a mountain fold. Okay, valley fold is going to go down like that. A mountain fold is going to go up like that. That's the mountain, that's the valley. This is a valley, and this is a mountain. How easy is that? You just want to be sure to score it, and that's going to make the card base. How neat is that? One of the design team said, hey, we should make that into a cutting die, and I think she's right. Okay, let's go back to this and let me show you. Now in this case, Teresa used our 6x6 sunflower cardstock, and here is the one that she used on the front. Isn't that just perfect? I love how that corner just fills that piece. And then on the inside, she used another piece right here. And again, you see the card is the mat. So that worked really well. That on the inside of her card, she used this piece. And doesn't that work beautifully? You've got that beautiful scroll work with the sunflowers just popping up. This little area is going to come from right here. So everything gets used, even on the 6x6 size. Now, for her greetings, she's got a hello, and that comes off of this cutout. You see she matted it. This happy birthday, well, it's right there. Again, she matted it, okay? So that just makes it so, so easy. She did add some gingham, and I think the gingham is just a perfect accent for the sunflowers. And my gosh, we've got a gingham ribbon set. That's not a surprise, is it? Now, let's talk about the Dazzles just for a moment. That when you back them on paper, and that's what Teresa has done, the technique is very, very simple. You simply place it on the cardstock. In fact, let me just bring in a snippet right here. And if I were going to do the sunflower, let's see, let me bring in a smaller one. So you can just pull the sunflower off the backing sheet like this. Okay. And the sunflowers are separate from the stems, just to make that easy. Okay. And then I'm going to place it here on a corner. And then when you go to trim them, what's really kind of neat is that the edge of the dazzle will kind of control your scissors. So what happens is that you just use scissors, and we really recommend these short bladed scissors. That will just make it so much easier for you because it's just easier to control. So when you're cutting, just cut right along the edge, and you'll want to move the paper, and actually I would kind of whack that out so you're not messing with the whole sheet. And just take your scissors right along the edge, turning the paper, keeping the scissors straight, and it's very easy. Now, you'll notice that Teresa has added something to these, and that is one of the tri-blend markers. So just doing a little lines in there to give some, again, to add more definition, works really, really nicely. Then if you wanted to do the brown first, you could just place that on brown, lift up the edges of the flower, as I'm doing here, and cut right around it. Okay, let me show you. Just lift that up and trim right around it. It's pretty forgiving. And then you can just go right around the flower, then place it on yellow and do the process that I talked about. Okay, there are bees on here, and you can see right there. And then there's a bee right there. So really, really fun. Okay, the woman has done it again. I hope you like the sunflowers as much as we do. Just a bright, happy collection for this time of year or anytime you need a boost. So sunflowers pattern cardstock, solid cardstock, die cuts, 6x6, the chipboard, and you've seen all the wonderfulness you can do with the sunflowers cutting die and with the chicken wire. All of them are just so much fun. I hope you enjoy it. And speaking of enjoyment, we do have a money saver. It's over on the right side of your screen. You might as well have fun and save money at the same time. Don't forget the gallery down below with complete instructions that Teresa has done for us. And I want to thank you for joining us on this hot summer day and for being part of the Paper Wishes family. See you next time.